Good afternoon. Welcome to Talks with Toni. I know you guys like it when I have a guest, and I like it because I'm not out here by myself, right? So welcome. Hope you're all having a wonderful and happy Friday. I have a guest today, Anna Marsden, and it's a mouthful, so I want you guys to listen up. Denton Feminist and Queer Collective. All right, awesome. Tell us about your organization.
Okay, so I am the co-president of DFQC. That may be easier, the acronym.
Yes. DFQC, that's easier.
We'll stick with that for the rest of the time. And so we're a grassroots organization. We started in last November, so a little over a year ago. And we came together in the aftermath of Trump's election as a group that wanted to help organize our community to resist some of the harmful things that were happening and legislation that was happening. So we focus a lot on providing opportunities for civic engagement, political and social action, educational opportunities. We host a lot of workshops and things like that. So,
okay. Yeah. And you guys are with us today because, of course, we all know our primary emphasis is on domestic violence and sexual assault.
Right.
And June is Pride Month.
It is.
And so we really want to kind of highlight that another population of our community that very often is ostracized when there is a sexual assault or domestic violence, and they may have some barriers in accessing services.
Yeah, sure.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so in terms of how sexual violence affects the LGBTQ community, there are a number of barriers to reporting. So one is being outed. So if a person, there are lots of reasons that a person would not want to out themselves. The bottom line is that it's never fun to feel forced under any circumstances. So that's one barrier to reporting for this community. A distrust of service providers also, which is another one that is kind of blanket for a lot of populations, but particularly for trans and queer folks, they may already have difficult or traumatic experiences with social service providers or healthcare providers, and that can make it difficult to want to add that trauma on top of the sexual assault trauma that already happened. And then lastly, another one that is common for a lot of groups is community alienation. A lot of times queer and trans communities are very small and tight-knit. So if the person was assaulted by someone within that community, right, then they may either lose their support network if people don't believe them. They may, or because they don't want to be ousted from that community, they may endure being around that person or endure continued violence so that they get to maintain that support network. So it makes it kind of difficult for people to want to report things that have happened to them.
And it's just important in general for the general community to understand that regardless of a person's gender or sexual orientation, that sexual assault and domestic violence are always consistent in that it's about power and control.
Right.
So for us, we serve everyone in the community. We are community partners, and that is our role. But it is important for people to understand that it's not about sexual attraction. It is about power and control. And many times that weapon is rape. But it becomes more difficult. There are lots of barriers for sexual assault victims, regardless of their gender or orientation, to be able to reach out for assistance.
Right.
But it adds an additional barrier. We also see that with people who may have a different language, or people in minority groups.
Right.
And so this is just another segment of our community that also has those additional barriers.
Right. I think it's an interesting point you make too, because I think even really well-meaning people, get caught up in the misguided belief that a person, a straight or cisgender person, would never assault a LGBT or queer or trans person because they're why would someone have sexual attraction in that way? And we have to remember it's not about that.
It's not about sexual attraction.
Power and control.
Absolutely.
So,
always.
Yep.
It's just that they use rape as a weapon.
Right.
And it's difficult sometimes for people to understand the languaging because it can be an uncomfortable topic for people.
Yeah. Certainly. Which is a huge tip that I have for people who may want to work with this population or find themselves working with this population. In terms of language, always be respectful in terms of pronouns. So if you don't know, ask. It's something that people I have a lot of discomfort doing, but it's the safer bet always. And then particularly, you know, if for anybody who knows that they don't have comfort using they them pronouns to refer to a singular person, I suggest starting to practice that in your daily language. But learning how to talk about it is sometimes difficult, and so pronouns I think are a really good entryway into really establishing
the basic
comfort.
thing comes down to just having a basic respect for the
of
person's
course.
rights and where they are.
Of course.
It's not about how any one person feels about it individually. It's just about having basic respect.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to.
Right. And I would never not refer to you as Toni, because that's what you've asked me to call you, right? And
that's the name she gave me.
Right. And pronouns are the same way. You
Absolutely.
know, we should refer to people how they ask to be referred to. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how can people get involved with your organization if they have an interest?
So we host a lot of events that you can see on our Facebook page. We're really active on there about telling you where we're at and what we're doing. We do a monthly phone banking event where we call our local senators and representatives and political leaders and either thank them for what they've done or tell them we are not happy with them. So that's a really fun monthly event that we do. We'll be doing that tonight at Denton County Brewing Company. So at 5:30. So come on out. We're changing up the format a little bit. It'll be bingo this time, but still really fun. And then also throughout this month, we're doing a membership push. And so for any of you who want to become a member, that would be awesome. And then this month, if you become a member, and then you get someone else, you refer someone else to us to become a member, you will get a set of feminist pins that you can, or buttons for your shirt that are really, really wonderful. So, yeah, that's us. But Facebook's a really good place to find us. Yeah.
All right, can find you on Facebook, and I assume Randy will put a link under this post so that you're able to connect.
Oh, great.
And I'll just encourage people that as we are talking about inclusion and about serving all facets of our community who have been victimized by sexual violence, that we have our SAT team, which are Survivors Advocacy Team. They support sexual assault victims at the hospital. Often those victims come and they've been accompanied by police and brought to the hospital for what we call a SANE exam. We have members of our team, volunteers, community members, interns, and staff that participate and respond to those calls. Last year we had over 200 of those calls. So I encourage you, volunteers are always needed. We are gearing up for new training. So come out and join us. If you want information, go to dcfof.org. You can click on how can you help and go to the drop-down box. I always encourage people, it's a way to be a part of something bigger than yourself. It's an amazing feeling to be able to serve others who are in need. So I thank you for tuning in to Talks with Toni and welcoming my friend Anna. And if you have more interest in learning about our organization, click on the link that Randy's going to provide at the bottom of this post. Have a good weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next Friday.